Go. Okay, I've clicked the button, mate, and it looks like we are live. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, everyone. And today in the shop, I've got a special guest, and it's Stephen from Shark River Machine. And I've been wanting to interview Stephen for a while, but thank God he reached out to me, say, "Hey, Aaron, I'd love to come on board." Stephen, welcome to the program. Thank you for giving up your time today. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure being here. Looking forward to it.
Awesome, Stephen. And I've been watching your channel for a while, and I notice you do a lot of grinding and lots of different sorts of work. Would you mind just telling the audience what you do in your shop, Steve?
Well, in my home shop, I do a little bit of everything. A lot of tool making. Of course, anybody that follows me knows that I grind up the precision ground flat stones.
Yep.
And that's really how I support my habit. And it runs hot and cold. This past month has been very busy. I don't know why, but it was. And it affords me to be able to keep the shop running and keep myself in nice new sharp tools and so on.
Beautiful. Now, I noticed, Steve, that you've mentioned in your videos that you are retired, you could say, and you no longer work full time for a living. Would you mind sharing with the audience what you did back in the day, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay. I spent my career in the automotive aftermarket. I started out, well, I literally cut my teeth in the automotive business. I have vivid memories as a 4-year-old being in the shop with my father. My grandfather and father were in the business. When my grandfather came back from World War II, he started the auto parts business.
Right.
And my father came on a little bit later. My father actually went to aeronautics school because there really were no technical automotive schools at that time. And so he got his degree in aeronautical mechanics from a place called the Academy of Aeronautics. It was Casey Jones Institute, I think it was called. It was in New York City. And so I grew up in the automotive business. We had a very large machine shop. And so I trained in the machine shop and spent a good half of my career as an automotive machinist engine builder. I went to college with the intention of being an industrial arts teacher. And by the end of my first semester, I actually transferred out of the education department into the engineering department. They had a program called Mechanical Engineering Technology, which was a hands-on approach to engineering. And so I actually graduated with my 4-year bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering technology. And I went to work in the automotive business with my father and ended up taking it over when he retired. Had an opportunity to sell the business. The automotive industry was changing, and not in a good way. And I had an opportunity to sell the business in 1995, and I did that. And I went to work for one of my distributors. So I spent the second half of my career in sales and marketing. Had a lot of machine shops as customers. But by the time I retired, I think I only had one shop left. All the rest of them had closed up. So when I retired, I was a little young to go into full retirement. A friend of mine had a model shop, model railroad store. And so I joined him. And within a few months, he asked me to manage the store for him. So I spent 5 years 3/4 time working, managing a model train shop. And even though I'm fully retired now, we closed the retail store just before COVID, for reasons unrelated to COVID.
Yep.
But we're still in business, and I still work with him, and I do about 10 to 12 train shows a year, and I do some online business. Matter of fact, I've got a show this weekend. I'll be out of state. It's the last one of the season.
Right.
That pretty much covers my background as a machinist. My grandfather on my mother's side actually was a tool and die maker.
Right.
And he was a brilliant tool and die maker. He died much too young. He had to retire early because of poor health. And I actually purchased his machinist box from him at that time. And he died very soon after that. So I still have all of his tools, and I use them on a regular basis. And the stuff that's got his name etched on it kind of gives me a warm feeling when I'm using it.
Oh, it would. Absolutely. There'd be
Yep.
lots of sentimental attachment to the tools.
Yeah. I would have liked to have learned more from him.
Yep.
I picked up a few things here and there, but so I consider myself to be a machinist. I'm certainly
Absolutely.
not a tool and die maker because I did not go through that apprenticeship.
Yep.
But even as an automotive machinist, and we were talking about this before we went live,
Yep.
automotive machining is quite different than your general machine shop in that we're remachining a lot of things.
Absolutely.
We're reboring cylinders, we're regrinding brake drums and rotors, we're regrinding valves, replacing valve guides, resizing connecting rods, regrinding crankshafts. So there's a lot of grinding involved. So that's my specialty, is grinding.
And funny you should say that, because another got his first name all of a sudden. Another home shop guy. Sorry, he goes, "Hey all, thanks for the precision stones, Steve." So he's mentioned it already in the comments that you do stones. Now, interesting there, just off camera, everyone. Steve told me I never knew that he was an automotive machinist, and I said over here in Australia it was sort of a bit of a derogative comment, I believe. Anyway, you had fitters and turners, and then you had tool and die makers. Tool and die makers actually elevate themselves above normal fitters and machinists. Yeah,
top of the crop.
Yeah, and then you had automotive machinists, okay, and reconditioners, and they would look down at them and call them second class machinists. And the reason they're second class machinists because all their machines are specially set up for grinding or doing stuff, and that's not always true, Steve, because I cut my teeth as a motor mechanic as a little pimply faced, dumpy 15-year-old kid. And mate, we were doing valve grinding and synchro seating and disc machining and drum machining. But like you said, it was always remachine work. It wasn't actually creating something from scratch. Okay. But it was a good way. And I'm really happy that I completed I'm a tradesman as a motor mechanic before I went into engineering. And I cherish those times because I sort of learnt in a so it was a garage. It was in a regional area. It was a rural garage. So we worked on tractors, trucks, buses. There was a school bus run. We'd work on old Leyland buses and do cylinder heads and stuff like that. But it was a good experience, mate. Really good. And the other thing I wanted to touch on is your model railway. Do you build much model railway stuff yourself?
I do some model making. I really enjoy that. I have very few videos on that because mostly what I have done has been for customers, and I've got to get it done. And you know how much extra time it takes when you're trying to video something.
Yeah.
But right now, I belong to a model railroad club, which is one group within a museum complex. And I've also gotten involved as a trustee for the umbrella museum that we belong to. So a lot of my time has been spent more in project management and trying to get things done rather than actual hands-on. Although I do have a wood shop over at the museum,
Yep.
where I do some architectural work for them, some restoration work, and I'm in the process of putting plans together to try and make my wood shop into a maker space,
Yeah,
so
that's a
that
good
we
idea.
can
Yep.
extend that out to the public. It's a beautiful building that I'm in. It needs to be made weather tight. We're on an old military base, and when the military left there, they absolutely gutted all the buildings in the name of remediation, to make sure that there was no asbestos or lead paint or anything else left behind. And they didn't leave anything behind.
Well, they did in Afghanistan.
Oh man, they tore our ceilings down. They tore all the sheathing off the walls. So the building that I'm in needs a new ceiling and insulation and some heat, and then we could get really serious about working in there. So,
and we mentioned this off camera. The whole makerspace movement is really gaining momentum, isn't it?
it really is, and it's you're an industrial arts teacher, so you understand the slight philosophical difference between the two. Because in the traditional manual arts or industrial arts training, you'll take a student and you'll teach them how to use a file.
Yep.
You'll teach them how to use a saw and so on. And then you'll develop a project for them to cut the piece out with their hacksaw and to file it to shape before you get into doing anything with machines and so on.
Absolutely. Yep.
And whereas the makers movement does it a little differently. They take that piece, that vise that in manual arts you use your skills of cutting and filing to make this vise. In the maker movement, you said, okay, I want to make a vise.
Yep.
Now, what skills do I need to learn, and how am I going to go about making that vise? So it's a little bit backwards.
Yep. No, I agree. So I do the same thing, and anybody who's watching who's interested, and you're probably not interested in education, and that's totally fine. There's been a huge paradigm shift in industrial arts teaching, where now they've moved to a more design-based curriculum. However, I still hang on to the old, Steve, and I don't let it go. So I actually do what you're saying. I still do some industrial arts projects with my year 9s and teach them how to cross file, how to draw file, okay, how to use a hacksaw, how to hold a hacksaw, how many strokes, 40 to 50 strokes a minute, pistol grip, all this sort of underpinning knowledge to take with them on their journey in life, whether they want to go into the trade or not. They're good skills to have on your journey through life. And, even with my own girls, I've got 3 daughters, and I said, don't rely on your useless husbands to do things, because they won't. I said, you girls have got to learn to do stuff yourself. So I've got one girl that she drives him around everywhere, puts petrol in the car, pumps up the tires. Oh my! I could go on and on, but I won't. We've got some chats coming in really fast here. We've got lots of people in here saying g'day. Good little chats going on in the background with Weld Machine. He was talking about, so that's Peter from Weld Machine, and going on about automotive machinists as well. Here we go. Little Mills just popped in. I'll just read out a few of these. Maddie's here. G'day, Maddie. G'day, Marco.
Hello, Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie's here from Australia. Maddie's workshop.
I know Maddie.
yeah, he's a good guy. DJ's here. Okay. Billy's here. Billy was saying from Knox Machining, he was saying go the makerspace, because as you know, Billy's actually situated in a makerspace as well.
Billy is actually one person that I need to reach out to. Billy, if you hear me, We got to have some discussion because he's got some expertise in setting up the maker spaces, and it's in some place that I want to go at our museum. So we need to talk.
Well, one thing we've forgotten, and I don't know if you've got them in America, Steve. So over here in Australia, I think you would have done, or you would have. We have a movement. Robert Brown pointed out earlier. He said we still have the men's sheds over here. So as you know, with a lot of men when they get retired, and this is, I think, with men's health, we don't talk enough about that. When men like us retire, mate, if we don't do anything, they reckon 3 out of 5 fall off the perch within the first 5 years. The research was showing. So in Australia, they created these men's sheds where men could go and hang out, and that had, they might have a lot of woodworking gear, or they'll have some metalwork, or a combination of both. And it's predominantly for men. I'm not too sure if they've excluded women from the movement. I think women can still come in, but it's predominantly a place for men because we have women's associations as well where they can go.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I mentioned that comment about useless husbands to put out, my daughter's popped up and goes, that's why I married a woman. Well done, Em. Okay. All righty. So it's very, very interesting. Steve, what sort of machines do you have in your home shop, mate?
I have a 10-inch Atlas lathe with quick change gears, which is one of the newer pieces that I have put in. I had a nice South Bend at the shop. When we had the machine shop, I had a South Bend that we used, but we wore it out because we also did electrical rebuilding. And so we used it to turn armatures and so on. And it just wore that poor thing out. And so after I had a 9-inch Atlas in my shop at one point, which I sold. And then I went to a Shoreline and realized that that's not a real machine. Yeah. It's great for model making. And when
absolutely.
I was doing strictly models, it was fine. But as soon as I tried to do something a little heavier, it didn't work. Yeah. So I went back to the Atlas. So I have the Atlas 10-inch. I've got an Atlas 6-inch, the 618, which I do a lot of work on, and I use as a second operation lathe now. Yep. I've got one of the round column mills. It's one of the real early ones from the 80s, made in Taiwan. And I have one of Bruce Witham's alignment jigs on it so that you can raise it and lower it without losing your position. Yeah. And that does everything I need to do in my shop. As much as I'd like to have a bigger one, I don't have the space. Yeah. I also have the surface grinder, 6x12 grinder, and the assorted drill presses and sanders and grinders and so on, and a collection of hand tools that I started putting together when I was 14. Yep. Wow. I got a floor-mounted Craftsman drill press for my 14th Christmas present. Wow. For 14 when I was 14. Yep. And I still have it in the shop and still use it on a regular basis. Yeah. Isn't that good? Yeah. And it's still running. Sorry, go on. And my birthday, my parents took me on a shopping spree to a hardware store, and I bought tools. And I primarily, in those early years when we had the machine shop commercially, I did woodworking. Yes. And then as we, after I sold the machine shop, I started doing more machine work at home. And I still have some woodworking equipment, but I've been slowly moving it over to the museum where I use it over there. Yeah, nice. Make the mess at their place. Exactly. Yeah, not in your home shop. Yeah. Well, that's like my shop here, mate. I got the walls painted, the floors painted. Every time I drop a chip, I got to clean it up. Like it's people go, "Do you actually do anything in there?" I do. I promise. No, that's awesome stuff. So you've got some nice machines there. Look. The round column mill, I won't talk too much about it because Matty will probably drive down here and punch me in the face. Matty's got a round column mill and he hates the thing. He cannot stand it. It's the worst thing he's ever bought. But I'm glad you're getting some use out of it.
out of the round column mill?
Yeah, I'd say given a choice, I would have something different. It's actually one that I picked up from one of my customers when I was still working for the auto parts distributor. And I saw it in his garage one day. And to make a very long story short, he was starting to look to sell the business. And I said to him, if you ever decide you want to get rid of that thing, let me know. I said, I'd love to have it in my shop.
Yep.
And for the work that I do, it's just fine.
Yep.
Yep.
So it works fine for you.
It works fine for me. And I've done some pretty heavy milling on it and gotten away with it.
Yeah, okay.
Just takes a little longer.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy with, I don't know if you've seen that little combination milling machine I've got. It's a Taiwanese one.
Yeah.
It's a great little mill. It's got a vertical and horizontal spindle, which is great. So if it's the milling's too heavy for the vertical, you can always drop into the horizontal, just rejig it, work hold it, and hit it with the horizontal, which is a little bit more tougher, a little bit more.
Well, I actually have a horizontal mill.
Okay.
But it's not in my shop.
Oh, it's in the museum, is it?
It's over at the museum. And I intend to move it in this spring. I've figured out how I can rearrange things to get it in there. And it's a very nice mill. It's a Sheldon. And the thing probably weighs 12 to 1,500 pounds. So It's a pretty serious machine, even though it's, a smaller one. And It's got the power feed on it and so on. And so I'm looking forward to getting that in the shop.
Okay, that'd be nice. Are you going to try and relocate it to your home shop, are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm bringing it over. I'll have it here sometime this spring.
Yep. That'd be great. I look forward to that. I hope you're going to video it, Steve.
I'm going to try and video moving it.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, like Tom videoed that big lathe he put in his shop, that monster. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tom Knott.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jeff Anderson's jumped in here, and he's got, I retired 2 months ago and love to share or mentor our youth. Jeff, can I strongly suggest you reach out to your local high school, mate, if they're still running shop sort of stuff, industrial arts or whatever. And you can actually volunteer at schools. And, over here in Australia, you need a working with children check. You got to have a police background check, make sure you're not a criminal, whatever. And you can go in and volunteer. And I don't know if any of you have seen, I did a bit of work with my old buddy, Peter Pilbeam. Peter's a retired engineer, and, he'd been on ships and doing stuff. And he was a wealth of knowledge to bring into the high school and just work with the kids. And I always said Pete had forgotten more stuff than I knew. So if you've got all this wealth of knowledge, it's such a shame to see it just go off into the miasma when you retire and nothing getting done, So please share your knowledge, gentlemen, if you're listening to me. We can all learn something. And even me I'm a 54-year-old man and a teacher, and I've got 10-year-old kids and 15-year-old kids still showing me something I don't know. You know what I mean? We've got to have an open mind to learning, I think, Steve, and I think you'd probably agree.
Yeah, one of the things that we have, our museum is like a Smithsonian. We actually have 21 separate museum displays there among 7 different nonprofit groups. So the museum corporation is an umbrella for other small groups. And within them, we have a lot of retired engineers, PhDs, you name it, retired teachers, educators, administrators, and we all learn from each other.
Absolutely.
I just had a retired school administrator join us, and he has been helping us out to talk in language that the schools understand, because we like to bring school groups in. We have things to show them. We have a lot of hands-on exhibits in radio technology and computers and radar, you name it. We've got it.
Yeah. It's very, Yeah, it's good to. Matty just pointed out something good there in the comments, Stephen. He said one thing he likes about YouTube is the wealth of knowledge that machinists are willing to share.
Yes.
And off camera, Matty and I are good mates. We ring each other constantly, and we had a good chat last night. I never knew this. Matty told me his brother is a qualified fitter and turner and machinist.
Okay.
I said, Matty, do you get him up to the shop to teach you stuff? He goes, no, he reckons I already know more than him, so I don't. He won't come up and teach him. So apparently, Matty's brother's sending his work to Matty now, so Matty can machine for him. Yeah. So and there's another guy there in the columns here in the chat, Peter from Weld Machine. He got here. I guess we all try to share our knowledge here on YouTube, which has also been a great place to know other people with similar mindsets, and that's true, Peter. That's a really good. YouTube's a great place for people with similar ideas and similar minds. And Pete, you got a wealth of knowledge there, mate. It'd be love to see you do a few more shop videos, buddy, and share some of your knowledge. I've looked at some of the stuff. If you check Peter out on Instagram as Weld Machine or YouTube, he does some really interesting, cool work in his machine shop and some really good jobs. All right. Sometimes I think when I look at his jobs, going, oh, man, how did you bloody hold that? You know, that sort of because machining is easy. It's the holding it, as you know, Steve. Sometimes. That is tricky. Yeah. How do you hang on?
That's where my experience and my strength has lied in problem solving, and that's. Problem solving and failure analysis. That was kind of my strong suit, even as an automotive machinist. And people with other machine shops would bring different problems, and I enjoy problem solving. That's what I do.
Yes. Yep. No, I agree. I'm just reading some of the comments there, Stephen, as you're going through. My little mule, he puts up there. He goes, "My channel's about learning what not to do." So that's why I was having a little chuckle in the background. Sorry, I'm listening in one ear and chuckling on the other side. Everett from Everett's workshop. Everett, I didn't know you were a former school teacher. Did you know that, Stephen?
Yes, I did. I follow Everett, and he's now a heavy-duty truck mechanic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a former shop teacher either. There you go. Yeah. Bloody very, very interesting, mate. What's coming up in your shop, Stephen? So what, apart from the moving the machine, what other stuff have we got to look forward to?
I actually am dipping my toe into casting some aluminum.
Beautiful.
I haven't done any foundry work since I got out of college.
Yep.
And I just got some green sand. I got a crucible that will fit in my heat treating oven. And I plan on trying to cast some small pieces. I have the files to have some patterns 3D printed for me. Because I don't do any 3D printing.
Yep.
And I've had a few people have volunteered to do that. And I'm going to try and make one of the Kenneth Wells steam engine, the traction engine, with my own castings.
Yep.
And so that I'm going to start a series on that. I think the next video is actually going to be, it's a simple one, but a woodworking one where I build the flasks.
Okay.
And
that'd
be good. Take on making the flasks.
Yep. Now, is this steam engine, is that like the one, the steam traction engine with the little, the whole thing, like a tractor with large wheels, front wheels?
Right, with the little wobbler type engine. Emma from Emma's Spare Room Machine Shop, she made one.
Stephen, I had the plans to that. There was a high school in Queensland on the Gold Coast that were actually making that with the engineering kids. And I had all the plans and I loaned them to someone. Do you think I can remember who I lent them to?
I have an electronic version of them.
Okay. So. Okay. I might have to reach out to you.
Yeah, I do have that. I think I got it from Emma.
Okay.
And she provided me with the files for the patterns also.
Yep.
So if that doesn't work, I might be doing some wood patterns because I can do that.
Yeah, well, you've got the shop to do it in.
Yeah.
You know, which would be good. Now, before you all get too carried away, can you drop in there and make sure you give me a thumbs up, please, if you don't mind? Now, this will probably wrap up my live streaming for a while. The reason I'll probably finish on this one is because I believe America has just gone into daylight savings, which means it's an hour later for you guys. And I know now in Australia, our daylight savings are stopping, so that we're going to roll the clocks backwards. So that means now I'm going to be 2 hours outside. It's going to be too late for the people in the USA. So I'll have a good think about it. If anyone can jump in the comments on the video and give me some ideas or whatever about if you like the live stream, should I keep them going or what? I can readdress it after.
Well, it just depends on where you are in the States.
It does, yeah.
This is started at 9 p.m. on the East Coast, but out in California it's 6 p.m.
That's right.
So just depends on where you are, and if somebody's interested, they'll watch it.
Exactly.
I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go on Emma's live stream.
That's late. So she runs it very late here. It's about on a Wednesday night. I think it comes on about 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, I think, her time. Yeah, and it's 5 or 6 here, depending on.
Yeah, and Wednesday is my massive big teaching day, and I come home exhausted. And if you ever seen that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop where he crashes on the bed, that's me when I get home. You know, I hate them, and I crash on the bed and pretty much go to sleep because I'm knackered. But I think it was a great chat, Stephen. I'm really glad
you enjoyed it.
You gave me the opportunity.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure, mate. And thank you for coming on. And I hope everybody enjoyed listening to what Steve had to say. And if you haven't seen Steve, I'm sure you have. If you're following me, you definitely know who Stephen is. Go over and check out Stephen's channel and give him a thumbs up and give him a subscribe. Well, we'd both appreciate it. Yeah.
All right. I've actually picked up a few new people that I have subscribed to as a result of some of the people that I've seen on your live stream.
Awesome. Oh, that's good.
It's been good. And they're channels that I enjoy because some of the regulars that I started out watching aren't producing much anymore.
Yeah. Look, just before we go, YouTubing, it's great fun. There's lots of learning, but it's bloody hard work, Steve.
It's a lot of work.
To shoot and edit videos, and plus I'm working as well. I've got a day job, and I'm not whinging, but it's a lot of work. You know, it's more of a hobby, and it eventually becomes more about YouTube and less about making stuff. You know, and that's not what I want to do. I want to make stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, will you hang on, Stephen? We'll say goodnight to everyone here in the USA and good day to everyone here in Australia.
Thanks to everyone that participated in tonight's live stream.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a lovely day. Enjoy your day or enjoy your evening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Okay. Bye-bye.